Hi, my name is Justin Lopez. I am the floor doctor, and today we're going to be doing a demonstration on how to cut around pipes using linoleum flooring. First things first, prepping the floor and getting it ready. First, you're going to want to do, if you have any concrete, such as this there, you're going to want to get a chisel and a hammer and get it as smooth as possible. Get as close as you can to the pipes. The cleaner you get to these pipes, the better the material will hug them. You see here I've got a piece of sandpaper and I'm sanding the floor down to keep it all nice and smooth, knocking off any ridges and getting as close as I can to get to the pipes, which is going to allow a nice tighter fit and a better bond with the adhesive. Okay, now that we have sanded any imperfections in the prep, we've chiseled around the pipes, everything is nice and smooth, clean and looking good, so now we are ready to make a pattern. Okay, the next step is to pattern the floor. Here we're using scribe paper, which in the trade we call it felt paper. Whatever you decide to call it, it's totally up to you. Whatever paper you decide to use, I would use something that's very sturdy so that when you're working on top of it, it doesn't wrinkle up on you. Here you see me back rolling the felt, which is going to allow the felt to lay flat against the concrete. Here I'm positioning the felt paper to lie in against the wall, which is going to be our starting point. After I have it all out, I'll trim any excess remaining felt off, make slits, which is going to help us secure the pattern to the floor. There's two ways you can secure the pattern to the floor. Some guys put an X, or I do what I do, which is what I call cat eyes. Whatever you decide to do is up to you. As long as the pattern is secured to the concrete and doesn't move, you're in good hands. Okay, next we're going to be cutting the felt paper around the pipes. When you are cutting the felt paper around the pipes, you're going to want to try to keep all the felt secured into one piece. Try not to cut anything off so that when you do lay this pattern down on the material, it'll be more accurate. Okay, continuing on, we'll do the same thing to the other side. Now that our pattern is down and secure, we are going to place set marks on our felt paper. And these set marks are to allow us so that when we pull this pattern up and put it back down on the material, we'll line these marks up and it'll put our pattern right back into place. So now that the pattern is down, we are ready to start making our marks. So when making your marks, you're going to want to use a 2-foot square and a mechanical pencil, which I like to use because it makes my marks a little more accurate. So basically you're going to be wanting to mark your door jambs and then place the 2-foot square along the wall the way you'd want the material to line against the wall. As soon as you do that, you're going to want to mark one side of the square. For some reason the square can't fit, just mark 2 inches with your tape measure and then apply a line against it. And then continuing going around the whole room with a 2-foot square against the wall, making your marks. Here I'm applying set marks, which are very important. Again, these set marks are going to allow us to bring our material in and line it up to the right position it needs to be. Now it's time to mark around the pipes. When marking around the pipes, you're going to want to line your square with it. Apply a line on all 4 sides if possible. A lot of these lines might not make sense right now, but as soon as you get this pattern on your material and you start to draw them out, it'll all start to come together. So when I'm applying my lines, I put these little checks on them, which I call them flags, and that's just to help me separate each pipe. Okay, now that we have most of our pipes marked out, before we do anything else, we want to put a set mark on the pattern. This is the marks that we're going to allow us to put our material back and to know that our material is in the right spot. So I put a set mark by the door and 2 by the wall. Now we're just going to double check to make sure that we have all our marks down around the pipes, the boxes, the walls. Anything that needs to be marked is on the pattern. Because the last thing you want to do is pull this pattern up and then realize you forgot a mark and having to go put it back. So always double check. Now that it seems that we have all our marks in place, we have our set marks, all the walls are marked, the pipes are marked. At this point now, we are ready to pull the pattern off and take it and put on our material. I have already had the material laid out, the seam has been cut, taped, so now it's time to put our pattern into place. When putting your pattern into place, you're going to want to give it a 1/2 inch from your longest point extra. As you see here, I've marked my door That seems to be the longest point, so I give it a ½ inch from that point on both sides, the wall and on the door. As soon as I have a ½ inch, I'm able to apply my pattern to the material. Now that my first sheet is secure, it's time to apply the second sheet. Again, the set marks that we applied, we're just going to line them back up, which is going to allow our pattern to be just the way it was in the room. Okay, now our pattern is down, secured. It's exactly where we want it. Now it's time to start drawing it out. I always recommend drawing the pattern out first. That's just to avoid any overcuts, because in linoleum or any sheet goods, anytime you overcut something, you will see it. So basically just go around making all your marks. Anything that you had marked on the pattern, mark on your material. So now when you are making your marks around your pipe, you're just going to follow the same lines that you had transferred on the pattern paper. So it should look like a bunch of squares when you are finished. So now that everything has been drawn out from our pattern into our material, we are now able to remove the pattern and start cutting the material. Now that we have all our lines down, it's time to cut the material. Put our square on our lines and cut using a utility knife, and we will hook it off later. In doing our circles, you're always going to want to extend your lines. After you extend the lines, you're going to want to make X's. So you're going to want to connect each square so that there's an X in each box. After connecting these, you're going to want to get a set of dividers. I like to use these Armstrong double kneaded noses, just more accurate. So just mark each one, making sure you have the same amount on each side of the circle, and then just scribe it out. So now that I have scored it all, I'm using my hook knife to hook all of it out. As you can see, I am hooking it in an angle so it leaves a bevel so that when this material lies around the pipe, it's a lot cleaner looking. As you can also see, I keep repositioning my body when I'm making these cuts. And that's just so that I'm staying accurate when I'm cutting the circles out. After my circles are all cut out, I'll go and erase all the pencil marks. Okay, now that we have everything cut out, our set marks are on our material. We are now ready to put this in and get it in place and get it ready to glue down. Helpful tip is you're going to want to duct tape any corners. Avoid from ripping or cracking while you're putting your material into place. Now that we got our material in place, we're going to make sure all our set marks are aligned. And as soon as I see that everything's aligned, everything seems to be in place, it's time to spread some glue. The trowel size we're using for this material is going to be a 1/16 square notch. When you're getting into these areas where you can't reach, the best thing to use is a paintbrush, or as I used was a piece of carpet towel. As long as you got plenty of glue down, it's going to secure a better bond. So now that your glue is spread out, and I'm about to put my material into the glue, make sure all my set marks are on. As you can see, they're both on. So as long as those set marks are both on, this thing should fit perfect. But before I do put it into the glue, I do what we call buttering the back of the material, which is applying glue to the back of the material so you get a double bond. And as you can see, everything fit perfectly the way I wanted around the pipes. So like I said, the more accurate lines you have, all your set marks are on. There's no reason why this material shouldn't fit in place. Again, you're going to want to butter all ends of the material before you place it into the glue, as you did on the other side. It's going to be very important to keep a damp, wet rag with you, so as you're trimming everything in, any glue oozes out, you can clean everything as you go along. Now after getting all our pieces into place, final look. As soon as everything is in place, roll the material from side to side, making sure all the material has been rolled into the glue for a secure bond. Okay, everything's been rolled, the pipes have been dapped, and everything's been wiped down. This is the completed installation. We did weld the seams, but that's a different demonstration. I'll show at a different time. Hope this was helpful. Be sure to subscribe, leave a comment down below, and give this video a thumbs up. Thanks for watching.